What is going on out there, peeps? Okay, so a couple of new articles popped up, but I'm going to add them to this quick update. Since I'm already doing the update, there's an article that's floating around inside the groups, and several people have sent it to my attention. So I'll go ahead and address it because it does talk about the exchange rate. All right, and shout out to Mikey for sending me the article via text. And then when I went online, I could see other people were asking questions about the same article. So we'll get into that. A quick reminder, everybody, we have Pimpy's Money Metals Exchange over there. If you're thinking about buying precious metals, give our friends over there a consideration. The link is in the description. For you new buyers, if you're a first-time buyer and you spend more than $100 on precious metals, use promo code Pimpy, P-I-M-P-Y, and you will get a free ½ ounce of silver. Over here, we have Pimpy's Investment Chat. Same name as the YouTube channel. Over here, we do talk about gold, silver, cryptocurrencies, as well as foreign currency investments. No politics. Bring that over to here, which is the hidden things in front of your eyes. You can talk about politics here. QAnon, NESARA, GESARA, current events, 9/11, false flag events. Just be respectful of one another. And if you got Twitter and you want to come over and join me, the link is in the description. Come check me out over there. All right, so the two articles is not, again, they're still talking about the agreement, which is good. The agreement needed to get done between Erbil and Baghdad, because it's going to be part of the budgets. We know this, the revenues and the dues. Anyways, the U.S. Department welcomes Sinjar's agreement, and we hope for a speedy return of the displaced. Yeah, to me, this is kind of a big deal. I think, I don't know how many are there. I could have swore it was more than 64,000, but I don't want to put my foot in my mouth. But anyways, there's a lot of people that were displaced once ISIS, kind of went into Iraq. And so they've been sitting out there for years. So on Saturday, the U.S. Department welcomed the agreement between Iraq and Kurdistan's regional government. In a statement, a spokesperson said the United States is pleased with the steps taken by the government of Baghdad and Erbil to solve the political and security problems in Sinjar. Again, this is good. This is a big step. Now we got this part done. We can start working on what the hell is going on over there with the budget. We know this. Not to mention the fact that, this is part of the budget, but also we are told that on Tuesday, the white papers or the reform papers will be submitted. We hope that the agreement will pave the way for the conditions that would accelerate the return of life in Sinjar and create a safe and volunteer return of the displaced who were displaced by ISIS. So yeah, that'd be nice. Again, I love this. Ever since Al-Qademi has taken office, a lot has gotten accomplished. So another great step forward. We know this. And then I like this part as well, because this is important for us who hold the dinar or are invested in the ISX. So what they're saying is the Sinjar agreement will end the presence of illegal factions in Iraq, which is good. What does this mean? Well, if you end the armed factions there, then you got stability. And that's what outside investors are looking for. We know there's a lot of companies from the United States that want to go invest there, but not just the United States. We see all different kinds of countries got their little mittens into what's going on in Iraq, which is another reason why I look at both Iraq and Vietnam when it comes to long-term investments. All right, so let's go on to talk about getting rid of the armed factions, which is going to be really good. So a great agreement takes care of the displaced, which is good. We get rid of the armed factions, which is good. That shows stability, security, which is needed, so outside investors can feel good about coming in. Good job. Okay, so here's the article everybody's talking about. A new salary scale. Suspension of appointments and applications of income tax. An economist leaked out the terms of the white paper. So it says the economic expert and professor of economics at Basra. On Saturday, some of the items in the white paper leaked some of the items in the white paper that the government intend to present to Parliament in order to reform the Iraqi economy after the collapse of the oil price. So this guy who published it, which he said was a key of reiterating that it came in accordance with the expectations regarding the fact that it will not depart from the framework of the international monetary policy, the international monetary funds policies. Again, this is that the relationship between Iraq and the IMF or the World Bank. Even Al-Kadhimi is not a big fan of theirs. He keeps saying do all we can to avoid borrowing from them. But remember, during the Paris Agreement, for them to have a lot of debt, and that's billions of dollars worth of debt forgiven, they had to agree to implement the monetary policies that the IMF had implemented, and it did a good job of keeping down inflation, but it did a terrible job because it didn't allow for the rate of the Iraqi dinar to change. And so Dr. Shabibi had a problem with that because he said, look, we can't grow. So this is what happens. This is so. This can be seen by looking at some of what is mentioned in the reform papers that this government called white. Let's talk about the papers. The items of the white paper include reducing the wage and salary bill from 25% of GDP to 12.5% within 3 years. So just find another source other than the government. The paper included, okay, here we go, reforming the retirement fund so that it is not linked to the budget and pension salaries are paid directly from the fund, reducing financial support for state-owned companies by 30%. All this was within 3 years. You notice that, for 3 years. So the reform papers, again, are most likely dealing in why we're looking at Iraq trying to pass the budgets for 21, 22, and 23. Okay, so it said the paper also included restructuring the public salary scales by stopping new recruitments and replacement process in the public sector, setting a higher ceiling for employee salaries in a way that achieves justice and reduces differences, and applying income tax to employees' allocations, incentives, and bonuses. So I'll scoot down a little bit more and get to the good stuff. So here's what it said. The Economist added the paper. We're talking about the reform papers or the white papers. The paper will study the current exchange rate of the dollar against the dinar, taking into account the requirements of the financial and monetary stability, achieving the competitiveness of the Iraqi economy, restructuring state-owned public companies, and converting them into private companies. So here's the part that I like. And again, I said this in the other video. They did a study already on whether or not to lop off the zeros. And what they found is that it hurts the poor, and that people would lose trust in the currency and turn back to US dollars. It weakened the money even more. It's just not fair to reduce the purchasing power of the Iraqi dinar, especially when it affects the poor people. That doesn't mean they won't do it, but I'm just saying that was their conclusion and why they didn't do it in the first place. What I like about this that looks a little positive is because I remember what Dr. Shabibi said. The IMF policies, he said, were great at reducing inflation, but he didn't want to agree with the fact that they were going to manipulate the exchange rate and keep it so low. He said it did not allow for the Iraqi economy to grow. The rate was too low. And he also said, look, there's outside people who will take advantage of Iraq. In other words, they were going to use Iraq. They're going to, IMF and globalists around the world had intended on doing this agreement with them, and then they were going to use Iraq for some reason or another, and he didn't like what they were going to do with this, what it comes down to, just in a quick nutshell. So I like when the fact that he brought that up, saying, look, the exchange rate's too low. This agreement that you have with the IMF and the World Bank helps with inflation, but does nothing to help the Iraqi economy grow. Now said that, then you look on here. The paper will study the current exchange rate of the dollar against the dinar, taking into account requirements of financial and monetary stability, achieving the competitiveness of the Iraqi economy. So again, I don't want to be too far reaching on this, but how the hell are they going to be competitive? There's nothing for them to compete against. Iraq needs to rebuild. Now, I remember I did videos talking about there was these talks when I read the CBI minutes. There was a discussion many times between the Central Bank of Iraq with the IMF, talking to the Iraq government. The Iraq government wanted to be reinstated to the 322 rate. The Central Bank of Iraq was saying, no, that's just too high. That would hurt us. They were talking about a rate somewhere around, was it like $1.32, somewhere between $1.14 and $1.32, which I thought was interesting. And you can listen to both sides to get into it. And I told you guys I had a discussion with my friend, and we went over this one time. And he was saying that, he agreed with the CBI bank. It should be somewhere around $1.14, $1.12, $1.14, somewhere around there, just so they can stay competitive. And I was like, oh, okay. Then later on, he called me like weeks later, and he said, wait, I changed my mind. Iraq is not really competing on the international scene as far as trade's concerned because they really need to rebuild. So he changed his mind. What he said was they really should reinstate the rate at 322, use that rate, increase their purchasing power, buy all the things that they're going to need to reconstruct and build the infrastructure and rebuild the country in Iraq, and then adjust the rate accordingly. So I know a lot of us, I know there's so many rumors going on. Like I said, I'm reading your guys' posts and comments about this. I don't want you guys to, again, don't get too excited with good news. Don't get too bummed out for bad news. We already knew they were going to be talking about the rate change or the exchange rate. We knew this already. So this article is just saying just exactly what we already knew. Okay, there's nothing adding to it one way or the other. Okay, so again, we already knew this, but I see so many of you commenting on this. I just wanted to just do a video so I can address this article to all of you at the same time. It is exciting. It's about damn time. Anytime we get news about the exchange rate, we want to know. A lot of people have been waiting for a long time. Hopefully the wait is just about over. All right, you guys, that's it. I just wanted to just do these quick couple of updates and then address this because so many of you are already speculating. You guys are going back and forth either way on this. It doesn't say good or bad. It just says what we already knew, and that is the exchange rate is going to be talked about. All right, that's it for now, you guys. I'll catch you later.